Hi everyone, Hyper G and Lucky Sixes are here once again from Proxy Table Gaming, PTG.
Hello. You okay?
Hello. Yes, I'm good, we have been having some fun with the old world,
We
that is
have.
Warhammer. And the fun continues because we're continuing on our role of armies, really. I mean, this is into
Pumping
the
them out.
second
Absolutely.
showing for a lot of these armies now.
Yeah, absolutely pumping them
So
out. So we're starting to get the grips. The first lot was just getting the idea of it, starting to get to grips with the armies that we're choosing.
we
Now
might
as
have had
well.
a week last Friday. We might have had a week where we didn't play illegal lists.
I mean, who knows? I'm sure there's something illegal in there.
There
I'm
must have been.
sure
Must have
there
been.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this battle is also legal lists, but you never
Yeah.
know.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We
Let
don't
us
promise
know.
anything on PTG, do we?
We don't. Hey,
We're just
we're
having
here.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it, mate. That's it. But we're here.
yeah,
We are here for Orcs and Goblins versus the Empire.
yes.
Similar-ish lists, I would say, to
Hmm.
the ones that we've seen before. So again, helps
Well,
us out a
not the
little bit.
orcs. The orcs.
Similar-ish,
I guess there's one. No, there's a few things that are the same actually. Yeah, you're right. You're
yeah.
right. Yeah.
But well, let's look. Let's look at that list.
Why not? Let's just do that. Yeah, absolutely. Because it was me being Orcs and Goblins, not against you though. I play
No.
against someone else for the first time ever. I play against Statrat, playing his Empire. But we'll get on to him in a minute because
Yeah,
what's
come on,
important
mate.
right now is the Orcs and Goblins. And I have got a certainly more killy Black Orc war boss than my last war boss, who pretty much just had his standard stuff. Now this one has an ogre blade, potion of speed, collar of is that his full name? Zoragoragor. Nice.
No, it might not be. That might be a misspelling on my part. But let's. I like it.
Oh, it's in Razor Gore. Yeah. That's all
Mm.
right. Fair enough. I was like, that's. I think let's stick with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, collar of Zorga, and a shield.
he's nicked it off the Beastman, I think.
Yeah, too right. I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, it makes sense for what it does. Potion of speed.
Zorgazaragazor.
Yeah, I love it. Ogre Blade gives +2 strength, +2 AP, or -2 AP in this world. And Collar of Zoragorgor is enemy beasts and mounts effectively have -1 to hit against him and his unit.
Okay.
So it's good against mounted things, which quite useful here, you'd
Mm.
think. I've got a orc big boss, not a black orc big boss, because I can only have one
Well,
black orc,
yeah, you
one
couldn't.
black orc
Why would
mob.
you do
I
that?
mean, why would I do that? That would be illegal if I did that. So this is just an orc big boss. BSB, he's on a war boar. He's got cavalry spear, heavy armor, shield, and he's got the banner of butchery, which I forget which way round it is because his unit has got the rampaging banner. I think the
Wow,
banner
banner.
of butchery.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
rubbish.
someone else has got the war banner. The war banner, I think. Oh, I'll have a look in a minute. But yeah, we'll find out in a second. Orc Weird Knob, level 4 on the Law of Gork or Mork or whatever, the WoW magic. On a war boar as well. He's got on the Idol of Mork, which is actually his dispel range is increased by 3 inches with the Idol of Mork. So he's 21-inch dispel range, which I quite like. Ring of Ruin, which we've seen a few times, and he's got the glowy green amulet, which, well, I'll say what I do in this battle, but it won't be massively relevant because basically what it is if someone casts a spell on him or his unit, then you get to roll a 2+, and it's not effective. So it's like the ultimate hindrance to casting a spell on his unit, basically, which is really cool. I've got 2 Night Goblin big bosses, both running giant cave squigs, cavalry spear. I needed to shave points, so I did one with a shield, one with a light armor, just to differentiate them. But effectively, it's the same thing, which is 5 up armor save, because the squig gives them a 6 up on their own. But they are a point difference because of it, which makes no sense to me. But then my core, I've got Black Orc Mob, 29 of them, with great weapons, full command, and the War Banner, which I'll find out which one's which in a bit.
500 points of core, baby. That was
500
easy.
points of core. That was easy. Yeah, brilliant. Just smash. Bang on. I'm still going with a big block of infantry in my lists at the moment. But yeah, I just like. I mean, great weapons was the thing I was lacking against the
Yeah.
beastmen last time, wasn't it? Because I couldn't wound the what was it
Gorgons.
called? Gorgons. Yeah, couldn't wound them. So now I've got great weapons, and hopefully attacking last won't be a problem.
Yes.
Then I've got a unit of Orc Boar Boys, 9 of them. They're big ones, with the full command and rampaging standard. I think I'll have a look at all these banners in a minute. while you talk at some point, you can talk through StatRat's Empire list, maybe.
I got it. Yeah.
A Ragnarok Spider, because he went out in a blaze of glory against a Gorgon in the last one, so I'm sticking with him. I will remember Venom Surge as Strike First this time, maybe. And 2 Mangler Squigs, which I'm allowed to have because I've got 2 Night Goblin characters.
Right, is it one, not for one for each of them?
Yeah. So you can have 1 Mangler Squig for every Night Goblin character.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's...
And they were good last time, so there was interesting to see.
Time. Yeah, the Night Goblin big boxes are pretty much in there, so I could have 2 Manglers rather than the other way around. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. There you go.
Yeah. And over to Empire, which wasn't me, but we this is pretty much the same list of our last Empire outing. So we've got the General Imperial Griffin guy. We've got the Captain of the Empire who's rocking the Imperial Banner BSB. The Lector of Sigmar on the War Altar, which is pretty cool. The level 4 Demonology Wizard Lord. Interesting. They get that, but then Empire have lots of access to different things, so that's cool. A big unit of State Troopers with halberds as the regiment unit, and with a State Missile Trooper handgun as a detachment to that unit. 6 Empire Knights with bog standard, lance, shield, full command. 2 lots of Empire Archers with scouts and trying to be wood elves. And then you've got 4 Demigryph Knights, full command, lance, full plate armor. So that they 2 up armor, I think.
I think they come with shields, so yeah, they might well be 2 up. I think they were,
which is pretty cool.
Pretty good.
Cool. And then, of course, like any Empire list, a steam tank.
Yeah, it's funny looking at Empire because the comments that we had in your last Empire game when they went against Bretonnian was Empire are in a really poor state. They're really weak in comparison to other armies. Obviously, it's too early for us to really tell because we're only on our 2nd battle with them. But it's really interesting to hear what people are saying about them, basically saying that the only good units are demigryphs and steam tanks. But this list has both of them. So, yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, I think there was a talk of Empire relying too much on their infantry. So I don't know whether that was a thing. But this doesn't have a lot of infantry. I'm already...
So. No. And I'm already beginning to think that infantry are a little bit underpowered. But... yeah, we'll continue to play out. We shall see.
But 2 big units of infantry on this game, baby. Yeah. We played the Drakvold Forest Incident again, which is the meeting and engagement with the rolling wands.
I had a really rough time the first time.
Yeah, what I can take. These are the units that did roll ones. So on the Empire side, we've got the Demigryphs, the steam tank. And the cavalry, so all the stuff that isn't apparently
all the good stuff,
rubbish.
All the good stuff, yeah.
All the good stuff.
StatRat did get a bit unlucky with that. I should say that the StatRat had to come directly from work, so he didn't have his models with him, which is a bit of a shame because obviously he does have Empire models. So we were definitely proxying on this one, and I'll explain where everything is in the deployment picture. But you're absolutely right there, Lucky Sixes, because the 3 units in the red circles were the ones that were not appearing. And then I rolled a lot better than I did the first time round. I didn't have like 9 units off the board. No, exactly. But I was going to be doing it without my BSB and without my Ragnarok Spider. So 2 good units not have on the board as well. But I was hardly in a position to complain after StatRat got what he got. So we will see how that affects things.
So a very bare-looking deployment. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know, some terrain lying about. I don't think much of the terrain comes into play in this one at all, really. There was a brief discussion about the hill, and obviously that impassable house is in the middle. It is relatively close to the centre, I'll add, before anyone comments to say you shouldn't have anything within 12 inches of the centre.
Well, yeah, I think what we might start doing as well in future battles is having a bit of terrain on the board so that it actually matters, because we haven't so far really encountered it.
No, exactly, yeah. I mean, it didn't even get to the stage where we talked about what was dangerous terrain and what was difficult terrain and all this lot in this one. We literally just deployed and mostly ignored it. Which is a little bit of a shame, I guess. But anyway, looking at the much depleted Empire deployment, because there's not a lot here. You've got the Archlector on the War Altar. Is it Archlector? War Lector? Lector. Yeah, whichever one that is.
His name's Lector.
Yes, exactly. He's being proxied as a dinosaur. Bastillodon, I think, is the old term in Old World, but lizard men aren't a real army, are they? So
they're not. So we it's not worth wasting our time over it, really.
No, indeed. Then you got the Halberdiers, or the State Troopers. They've got the Wizard Lord and the BSB, Captain of the Empire, in them. Then you got the State Missile Troops next to them, who are the detachment deployed with them. And then you've just got the Griffin, who
on his own,
being proxied as a tiny little cute fella.
Yeah,
because unfortunately Statrat's Griffin is not here right now. But that's it for the Empire. Pretty depleted, really.
They do have the archers. Let's not forget about the archers scouting behind your lines.
Yeah, I lost them because they're goblins in an Orc and Goblin deployment. But maybe that's what they're hoping happens. Yes, because top left, in between the water and the hill, you've got a line of goblins. You can kind of just make them out. And then at the bottom of the hill, near those rule books, beautiful rule books, another line of goblins, and they are both the Empire archers scouted into those positions. For me, I've got a Mangler at the bottom. Then I've got the Boar unit with the Orc Weird Knob accompanying them. He's the one on the bottom left of the unit. Another Mangler. The Black Orc Mob has got the Black Orc War Boss in them. And then I've got the two Night Goblin characters on the Giant Cave Squigs. Obviously, I'm without my BSB and a Ragnarok currently. That's how we start. Banners-wise, let me say that we've got the BSB, and this is the reason why I didn't remember what it was. He gives his unit +1 strength on the turn they charge. So obviously he's not with his unit, so that's a bit rubbish.
It's quite nice with the cavalry spears.
Yes, absolutely, very true. The Black Orc Mob, the Wire Banner, have got +3 inch, +D3 inch to their charge. And the Rampaging Banner is reroll charge on the boars. So yeah, that's what I got.
Over to Empire, and they start off getting Shield of Faith. I worked out.
Yes, well done.
From the I'll call it code. That we got written on
I gave you the pictures and you worked out what happened.
But so they do indeed have a
5-up ward save. You're right. I'm completing your sentences because I'm all excited. Statrat insisted on writing down on the piece of paper, which we quickly scrubbed together, 5-up ward versus shooting bitches, which is what we had to put on both cards.
See, you could take. I originally took that as shooting bitches, so presumably bitches that shoot.
Well, I think there should have been a comma there. Shooting.
Arguably, it might be. It might be in the FAQ. To be fair,
maybe.
So we'll see when that comes out. But yeah, Shield of Faith goes off on himself and the Halberdiers.
That's right.
But otherwise, this just shows how he fans out.
He didn't really move. Yeah, exactly. He worked out that he couldn't get the Griffin out of line of sight of the Night Goblin characters on the Giant Cave Swigs. He could have got him out of one of their line of sight, but then he also kind of didn't necessarily need to, or decided he didn't need to. He was waiting for the rest of his army, which arguably I should have deployed my Tomb King better in that battle to do the same when it happened to me. But yeah, basically he decided just to hold off and reassess this turn.
Good stuff.
Indeed. But the archers do come forward to have some pot shots to the Night Goblins. And he also casts that one,
Vortex of Chaos.
Again, we tried to find out whether vortexes are any good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm super hoping this does something. Really.
Yeah.
Really
unfortunately, it isn't summoning a Carnifex. But basically, we didn't have the 3-inch template on us.
Yes,
so Carnifex just comes in as the model we go to.
They're all there.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. There's that. And then Orcs and Goblins have a turn.
Move up.
I move up. So it was weird because I had to work out which of my units were random move and which weren't. The anything that's on a squig is random movement. I'm just trying to work out. Yeah, but they still have to sort of wheel to some extent. So I couldn't just charge the archers. Well, I could have charged the archers, but I didn't get that far.
Sure.
Basically, the one on the right of the Night Goblin, I'm talking about Night Goblin characters here, big bosses.
Yes.
The one on the right went to wheel towards the archers and didn't really move, which was a little bit annoying. And it wouldn't have been possible to wheel backwards because you have to wheel all the way around. It would have taken a lot of wheeling movement. And the one forwards went quite far forwards, but not out of charge line of sight of the Griffin. So we'll see whether their time is short-lived or not. The archers didn't do any wounds to two of them in the previous shooting phase. Otherwise, I just moved my Black Orcs up along with my Manglers, and the Ball Boys. They stay away from the Vortex of Chaos because it is a panic test if you get within 12 inches, I think. But if you fail the panic test, it is impetuous, which that unit already has. So technically, I didn't need to really worry about it.
Sure.
But at the same time, I didn't want to leg it forwards.
It's still dangerous terrain, isn't it? As well.
And it's still, dangerous terrain. And plus, I wanted to see where Statrat's stuff came on. So I was kind of hanging back over there. My wizard, and this is where the glowy green amulet thing is a little bit ridiculous, because I had a glowy green amulet on them, which meant any spell that got cast on him and his unit was dispelled on a 2-up, and I promptly had him leave the unit, which was just utterly stupid on my part. But it did mean that he had line of sight into the archers at the back, and I had 3 magic missiles, and I promptly
started with
Ring of Ruin off.
Yeah, started with this. This isn't miscasting or anything. This is just the amount of wounds you did or hits.
It is. Yes, I managed to kill 1, and it was at that point that I realised that Statrat was going to be removing his models so that the spell that is just a line of 5d6 inches.
This one.
Slowly, he's getting further away from them by removing casualties. So he cunningly let me cast Ruby Ring of Ruin, or didn't dispel it, one or the other. I hope, and then remove casualties to make this further away. And I dropped just short of where the archers were with that spell. Gaze of Gork, really cool, nice, fun spell. I think I had another spell, didn't I?
You did, Vindictive Glare.
Yes, and I managed to kill another one with that. But I think I went to cast Vindictive Glare before I did the other one. And then I realised that I needed 5d6 range, and I was like, yeah, let's change that around. Yes, but that's really poor showing from 3 magic missiles, isn't it?
It is.
Killing 2 archers. But anyway. Over here, I think that is just showing the line of sight. I think
is this showing him not charging?
Yes, the Griffin doesn't charge the Night Goblin big boss and decides not to. Again, I guess that's part of being patient, I think. So yeah, he does not go for that. And then the Empire stuff comes on at start turn 2. There's no ambush roll or anything. It just comes on as reserves. So it was good that we were experiencing this side of the scenario where there was still a battle to be played when they came on. Whereas obviously when it happened to Tomb Kings, everything had really kicked off before that happened, doesn't it? But this one, they're coming on the board edge and still stuff to play. The steam tank did, however, misfire and took a wound. And at which point I said to Statrat, how many wounds has that steam tank got? He was like, 10 or something.
Yeah.
I was like, what? How the hell is that thing ever going to die? But I think that's the point about it being good, is that it's so tanky, I guess. We didn't worry too much about line of sight and stuff with this one. We kind of made an agreement that his wizard and archers state missiles could see this unit, and so he cast a spell to kill a couple and shot at them. I can't remember what spell it was, but yeah, he killed a few Black Orcs. That was about that. It wasn't. I think it was like a template one. So yeah. Over here, he shoots and does 1 wound to my big boss, which is fine. I think he's got 4 wounds in total on the guy. And I declare some charges with my squiggy stuff, which is amazing. So yeah, because they are random move, you don't technically need line of sight because you're not actually declaring charges officially. So they're not actually charges. I said I declare charges, but they're not charges. They're
in
just
your head.
Random moving. Yeah, in my head.
You release the hounds.
Yeah, my intention was to charge. So I had a Mangler go towards his War Lector, or Lector thingy, there. Oh, in fact, the position of the Lector has changed between deployment and his first turn, because he moved it onto the side of the hill. In the original deployment picture, it was on the left side, but he moved it in his last deployment move. So that's why it suddenly teleported, which I should have said earlier anyway. The big boss charges the archers, and the other big boss goes for the demigriffs just to see how he can get on. My BSB and my rank on the back as well, which is cool.
He gets in here?
No, he did not get in there. The Mangler did not manage it.
An inch off then, does he?
Make it. About an inch off, yeah. Yeah, so that was a shame, but he'll probably get countercharged and all sorts. The demigriffs, though, they will have a combat because my big boss got in against them. I don't really know how that's going to go. I think I wasn't expecting my big boss to do a lot there, because 4 demigriffs is quite scary. But at the same time, I wanted to see if I could just think away a bit. And also, it was random move, so I didn't really know whether I was getting in there or not.
Sure.
And yeah, I think I also kind of forgot that the whole fighting rank would fight of his, whereas my base size was only...
And that's still the case even though he's a character, right?
Yeah. No reason why they're not the whole fighting rank. So, sure. Yeah, his chances of survival went down the more I thought about it. But, oh well. You can see that the Griffin has moved into that position, which was kind of behind my Goblin big bosses. And I start my line hammer transformation by moving my Black Orcs into that formation, which is just funny. I'm going to have different movement trays for this sort of shenanigans.
Certainly.
Yeah. I can't see my BSB in this picture, but he's just hanging back or coming onto the board. Whereas I was moving my Orc Weird Knob, forward to try and get some magic missile support. And I did manage to dispel the Chaos Vortex as well, so that it wasn't in the way of the Boar Boys while I moved my Ragnarok up. The other Mangler, I decided to move around the obstacle, the wall, because I wasn't entirely sure about the dangerous terrain aspect of it. On the left. Sorry, I'm making you jump between pictures because I'm just randomly saying stuff and you're trying to match up what I'm saying with the picture. And I think I start casting some magic. This is where Gaze of Gork ends up, which is just the 5d6. Doesn't manage to reach anything useful, but it was a long way, so not really expecting it to. My big boss kills all the archers, which is awesome. Sarah was hoping he'd get 1 attack back, and he didn't. So, and I fail my leadership check to not overrun and end up bouncing into the distance, which is quite funny. Oh, the mushroom token. StatRat just likes putting random things on the battlefield that don't mean anything. So it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Over in the demigriff combat, it went as expected, really. I did 1 wound, did lots. Yeah. It was a little bit fruitless, really. But like I say, it was a random move into that charge. So, yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
He charges both.
Oh yes,
with
he charges both here,
and gets the rerolls to hit and to wound.
Yeah, made me write out more things on paper, basically, instead of just using the same one over and over again. But yeah, it was always going to be the case that the Mangler was probably going to get bullied by 2 units now that he'd failed to charge on 1. But yeah, all good. All good there.
This is just him moving around, I think, otherwise.
It is, and also putting his steam tank to look at my Orc Weird Knob, who was obviously vulnerable to a cannon shot now.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see if he can pick out that fella. He
gets
gets
the
off the Chaos Vortex again in my way, which is kind of like a bit annoying for me because I did try and dispel it, but was unable to do so. And in the combat, yeah, the Mangler didn't stand a chance, really. I think I took those wounds.
Impact hits, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. It was just like a stage of the combat, but the Mangler didn't get to strike anyway. So I didn't do any damage to him, which is a bit of a sorry way to go because I think Manglers are awesome. But the minute he'd failed that charge on the Lecter, it was probably going to go that way as well. We had a weird one where, actually, go back to the previous picture because I think this one's kind of like where we could have done with a bit of help from our viewers, or can do. So effectively, Statrat pursued with his Lecter because he wanted to try and get out of line of sight of the Black Orcs. But he wanted to reform with his Knights. So if you go to the next picture to see how we decided it ended up, this is what he was trying to achieve. I don't think he technically needed to overrun or pursue with the Lecter, but he wanted to be in the flank of the Black Orcs for next turn. And the Knights reforming, if they reformed to be like that, they would have blatantly been on top of the Lecter because their center would take them on top. We weren't really sure where the Knights would then have to be. Would they have had to change their formation to be 3x3 or 2x2 or whatnot in order to do it? But technically so yeah, we just kind of like came to an agreement between ourselves really to what Statrat wanted to achieve and etc. We just came up with that really. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know with the old world. So yeah, viewers, let us know what the possibilities were in that. I guess the other reason he overrun was to try and get out of the way so that they could do this without any problems.
Yeah.
So if they rolled like 10 or something,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So let us know in the comments whether this is legal or what are the options with that Knight unit. Bearing in mind this is how they started the combat.
Should they have remained facing towards the left because they couldn't reform without in the Lecter?
Arguably, I guess he could have just reformed them without overrunning.
Yeah.
Unless he failed his leadership to restrain.
No, I don't think he did any leadership.
So at this point, I don't see any reason why the Knights couldn't turn and do it. But once he overruns with that, I don't know what. Perhaps that's the choice: is whether he gets to overrun or not.
Yeah, maybe ending up here has allowed him the best of both worlds in the fact that he's overrun to get in my flank with the Lecter and reform the cavalry. But what should have actually happened is, in order to get the Knights facing this way, the Lecter shouldn't have been able to overrun.
Arguably, but I don't know. So if anybody knows that, then let us know.
Yeah, and I was more than happy with whatever in this one. We were having a fun game. Obviously, there is a threat of the Black Orcs now charging something in my turn to come. Speaking of my turn to come, I declare a charge. You can see a wound on the Orc Weird Knob. The cannon hit and wounded. Only did 1 wound.
Oh my goodness!
Very lucky boy.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. I declare a charge with my 4 boys through the Chaos Vortex. I take 1 wound from dangerous terrain. He does actually stun and shoot as well with those statement shot troops because he can. Choosing to stand and shoot rather than counter charge or something. That's a detachment thing. And yeah, I go in like so, not worrying about the Khan effects stuff. I also declare a charge on the knights, and this is where Statrat decides to flee with the knights. They're not facing this way; they're facing back towards the board edge. He doesn't roll very far, but I also don't roll very far, and I don't manage to catch them, despite the fact that I've got Here We Go on me, which meant I was rolling an additional D3 for my charge.
Okay.
Which is so I was rolling 2d6, taking the highest, and 2 extra d3s because of the War Banner. Okay. So I was rolling 4 dice and getting a plus 2d3 to my highest dice.
That's pretty
so
cool.
it was actually pretty possible that I could have caught the knights, as they didn't roll very far. Yeah, but I couldn't see the Lector, which is why I couldn't redirect into him. And now I've just wheeled forward. So my left flank of those Black Orcs has practically not moved, because the actual failed charge was just moving my right flank forwards.
Yeah.
And you can see in his previous move, he moved the Griffin into my rear. Elsewise, I moved my BSB up. He'd given up any hope of catching the Boar Boys by this point with his Banner of the Last War or whatever it is, which is a bit of a shame, because that's, but that's the scenario. You risk losing your characters in the right units. My Ragnarok is making his way over towards the Black Orcs, because he feels like the Mangler and the Boar Boys have got it covered on that flank. And yeah, my Mangler decides to finally bite the bullet and go over the low object wall thing, and I don't take any dangerous terrain, so that was good. Yeah. Yeah.
All the spells off on
all
the
my
Griffin.
Magic missiles on the Griffin. Only do 1 wound. That's all right.
It's good armor.
I think only Vindictive Glare. Only Gaze of Gork is strength 5, and the others are all strength 4 or lower.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just not that likely that you're going to do any wounds to him anyway. But yeah, take a wound.
Over here, he counters your charging with all 3, but the Demigriffs don't get in.
No, they do not get in. So the Griffin comes in the rear, the Lector in the front. The Demigriffs actually needed quite a lot. They needed I think they might have even needed a 6 on their 2d6 to get in. And they don't get in. But
they must have rolled a 5. That's why the dice is there.
Must have done. Yeah. They have moved quite far forward in their failed charge. So yeah. Yeah. There is that. Did we not do this combat? No, we must have done. I think in this combat, okay. I didn't take.
Yeah, because he's still here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we go back, and then then this is the casualties.
Is it? Oh, that's the second round of combat casualties.
Oh right, okay, cool.
Yes. So the first round of combat, I kill a load of halberdiers, and they don't attack back because I've killed so many.
Sure.
And his captain in the front rolls like 1s and 2s to hit against me. So the only one that could have, the wizard fails to cast his assailment spell as well, which Statrat was really excited by, and then he just rolled really low.
Yeah.
So it was like, assailment spell is really exciting, but shit. So yeah, I kill a whole load of halberdiers. He gives ground, moves backwards, because he passed his leadership check within the relevant modifiers, etc. And in the second turn, we'll now see the picture of the carnage that ensues.
Yeah. Infantry,
infantry, eh? He charges into the flank with his state missile troops, which makes a big difference actually, because he gets a whole, all of them get to attack before my Boar Boys, because I haven't got the initiative bonus anymore. Because obviously when they give ground, you don't get your initiative of the charge anymore. You don't count as charging anymore on the boars. So without that plus 2-3 inch initiative, I was lower initiative than the halberdiers. He starts killing me. I wasn't getting my strength bonuses for being on the charge, and I wasn't getting my not rampaging banner. I wasn't getting my cavalry spear strength bonuses. I killed a few, but not many. And yeah, basically the Boar Boys broke, rolled too high on their leadership, and they actually fled. That's a proper flee, not a give ground or fall back in good order. But fortunately, the Empire troops don't catch me, so I do get away. going through the dangerous terrain again, hilariously. Yeah, so with that flank somewhat not going to the plan, and being beaten up by infantry as well, I was hoping that maybe my linehammer infantry could do a bit of a better job over here. But there was a flaw in the plan in that Statrat's Lector on the War Altar issued a challenge, and I didn't see too much harm in my war boss accepting it, and I forgot about a very small part of that one-on-one occasion. I mean, I suppose there's two things really here that are poor with my decision to accept the challenge. One is the fact that he has got the Mace of Hellstrom, I think it's called, on the Lector.
Bloody good mace.
Which is a blooming good mace. Even more so for the fact that it does indeed one-shot my war boss, kill him. I used the Potion of Swiftness, it should be said, but it didn't get my initiative higher than it needed to be. I think I needed to roll a 5 or 6 on the D3 in order to go before the Lector, and I only rolled a 1. I think it was a 2 I rolled it. 1 to 4 didn't matter, but 5 or 6 and I would have gone ahead of the Lector, or at least at the same time. Because I didn't, the Lector attacked first and did 4 wounds to my war boss.
So D6 wounds?
D6 wounds.
D6 wounds, baby. That is that's beefy.
I don't think I had a ward save on my war boss, which obviously would have helped in giving him a save.
Sure.
Because I think the Mace of Hellstrom gets straight through armor, doesn't it? So I didn't have any save against it once it had wounded.
Yeah.
And so he only needs one of them to hit and wound, and my war boss was dead. But the other factor in why I probably shouldn't have accepted the challenge, because I've gone into Linehammer, haven't I? You know, the whole point is I'm supposed to be attacking with my whole line of great weapons, and not one of them can attack because
you've got all the gear, but no idea.
All the gear and no idea. Yeah, I like that. I might write that on my tombstone after this battle. I know. Yeah, so it was a bit of a poor decision. But thinking about it, like, if I'd have declined the challenge, then my war boss wouldn't have been able to fight at all. But then I still would have had great weapons. So I do have a champ.
You still wouldn't have the same thing.
Yeah. It would have been the same thing, except the champ I would have lost a lot of attacks. The Griffin in the back comes in and does, including Stomp, 5 wounds to my Black Orcs, which vastly reduce the amount of great weapon attacks they get back on the Griffin. And so they only have 4 guys going back on the Griffin as well, because that's their fighting rank, even though they're facing the wrong way. And I just don't wound the Griffin with those. The 1 wound had come earlier from this Magic Missile, if you remember rightly. And so, that wasn't ideal. And so I hadn't paid for Stubborn on this unit of Black Orcs, so I couldn't choose to give ground once, because that's what Stubborn gives you. And I rolled a what's it called? Fall back in good order result. So I didn't roll a flea, so that was good. But I did do fall back in good order, to which point we had to get the rulebook out to work out, well, which way am I going? And are they all shifting with me? That would have possibly been the case with a give ground. But then with a fallback in good order, you're actually fleeing and then rallying and all that jazz. And what we basically settled on was the surrounded rules. So this is another instance where absolutely looking for the comments to help clarify whether we did this right or not. Because we haven't really come across surrounded before, I don't think. And we basically worked out that because I was falling back in good order, but I was surrounded, I just couldn't move. And so I just stayed there and the combat continued. Obviously, in a situation where there may have been consequences, it could have mattered more. But in this situation, it was my turn next. The only thing that could have happened was for the Arachnarok to come into this combat. He's like, you can see his legs near the tape measure there. That's the only thing that can affect this combat going forward, because the Empire haven't got a turn to charge in their steam tank or the demigriffs. So it's in the Orcs' hands. So maybe if I'd have moved backwards a bit, I might have been close to the Ragnarok, but not by a lot because it was similar distance. But I think the surrounded rules covered this one. I think we've done it correctly. But eager to learn as we go.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm a general down, and my Black Orcs are in trouble because that was really my best chance of killing the Lecter. I got Here We Go on the Arachnarok, and he fails to charge into the flank of the Griffin. Didn't actually need that much on the charge, but just didn't get it. Didn't roll it. Simple as that, really.
What's Here We Go?
So Here We Go is an extra D3 on the charge result. So I was Swift Stride and plus D3.
Yeah.
And he's movement 7. So, he didn't hit that far, but didn't get it. So yeah, just stumbles forward, and that doesn't sound great for the Black Orcs again. And also, they felt, because they fell back in good order, they didn't get a reform or anything. So Linehammer isn't more of a thing because I didn't get a reform. And technically, if you do a normal fallback, I think you do get a reform, which is like
but not because it's surrounded.
But because I was surrounded, I didn't move. So yeah, really eager to see what people think. But on the other flank, my Mangler, my remaining Mangler, doesn't declare a charge because he doesn't do that. But he just comes bouncing forward into the Halberdier unit, the state troopers, and starts a new combat there, while my Boar Boys rally. So they are back in the hunt in that flank. Otherwise, my big boss on the giant cave squig is working his way around the water on the right flank, but pretty much concluding that he probably doesn't want to charge any of them.
Yeah.
So not really sure what he's going to do for the rest of the battle, really. Over here, Statrat's Empire troops, the 2 characters start absolutely going to town on my Black Orcs. I can't remember what the 111 was for. It might have been the general's roll to hit. And I think it was just the stomps that was killing things in the back.
Okay.
I don't remember. Oh, sorry, I had my camera looking at the 1s and 2s at the front. No, I do remember what this is. This isn't anything to do with the Empire dice. This is my dice of my Black Orc attacks.
Right, okay.
So this is me rolling to hit with my Black Orcs. So I think before Stomp, I had 3 Black Orcs in touch with the... it can't be my roll to hit, actually, can it? Because I would have had more dice. It must be my roll to wound. It must be my roll to wound, now that I'm thinking about it. Because in like the fighting rank would have been more than 3 dice in the back. Because the Empire would have gone first. So I think, yeah, that's it.
Okay. So terrible wounds. Terrible
wounding rolls. Over here, however, I obviously just charged up the dice in a different way because I decided to go a bit hero hammer with my Mangler and decide that the Mangler squig is so good at killing stuff generally. Impact hits I did on the Halberdiers, and I had Stomp to come on the Halberdiers. So I decided to just split my 4 attacks, 2 on the Wizard and 2 on the BSB, knowing that I have Killing Blow in my back pocket. And hey presto, I kill both of the Empire characters in 4 attacks.
3 6s, baby.
You can see I rolled 3 6s to wound, because you have to roll a 6 to wound to do the Killing Blow. So that's a way of getting through wounds quickly.
Yeah.
You just roll Killing Blow. Clearly, that's all you got to do. And needless to say, the Halberdiers were completely schmunched by that, losing their Wizard and BSB. And I overran the Mangler, caught them, run them down. The missile troops on the flank fled, got into there, panicked, but they were fine. But yeah, so the infantry kind of had a brief run of being good. But then a 95-point single model absolutely destroyed them.
They wrecked both characters and the unit.
Yeah, and that unit is probably worth combined probably about 500 points. A Mangler is 95.
Easily. Yeah.
So I know that there's a lot of different equations in that versus, but it does show that ranked up infantry probably aren't in a great place if a model that is a fifth of their points cost can absolutely beat them up.
I mean, it rolled hot though, didn't it? That's why we played dice game.
But if I'd have killed 3 halberdiers instead of the 2 characters, it's still the same result. The halberdiers still flee. So it's only, and then I still catch the characters and kill them anyway. So the rolling didn't really matter.
Did it not matter in terms of wounds? Because obviously they get the full wounds, wouldn't they? For combat risk.
No, I think Statrat rolled the flee and he fled either way. It wasn't a close flee.
Sure.
So, and
is one of them a BSB?
Yeah, one of them was a BSB.
Okay, so that does.
I suppose, for an extra +1, and there was 5 wounds
and a reroll, right?
Instead of 3. So, and a reroll. No, you're right. You're arguing well. Yeah. But
he rolled hot. Just he rolled hot.
He rolled well.
That's what it is.
More manglers is what I've learned from this battle.
How many can you have?
Is it 4? 5. I think it's 5. 5.
So as long as you have
5 night goblin characters.
Night goblins, yeah.
You can have 5 manglers. Yeah. That is my next list. Like you've already stolen my punchline for this battle report. But yeah. It's true. I think this might be the last picture because we were running low on time. It is the last picture. There you go. And we basically concluded that I think the Black Orcs must have passed or they're still surrounded, so they couldn't go anywhere. They had their BSB
and they didn't flee.
And they didn't flee or anything, so they were just continuing. The issue we had, and we were running out of time, so we decided to talk it out from here, was that it was the Empire turn next. He can charge his demigriffs depending on where the Lector goes. We were a little bit unsure what happened about the Lector. Could he move to give room for the demigriffs to get in? And we think either way, the demigriffs could have wheeled round the Lector and got one of them in, and then the whole front fighting rank is in. So but it didn't matter. We were talking it through at this point anyway.
You can clip, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And we were all in agreement that once the steam tank, the demigriffs, and maybe even the knights come in on the Black Orcs are done. They're not going to win that, even with a lot better rolls than what I was doing in the last combat.
Yeah.
So we agreed the Black Orcs were going down, and I wasn't going to take out any of Zatrat's remaining models. I moved my BSB rather carelessly to try and get these archers to kill their points. And then we did a test to see if the archers could march past the BSB and survive. And they did. But they had the general's discipline right there.
Yeah, true.
Leadership. So it was a little bit careless on my part, but we were just talking it out. And we thought it would be quite funny if the archers managed to survive. And they did. Although technically, in order to get past the BSB, they probably had to march right in the way of the spider. So, but we were having fun, and we were just talking it out at that point. So we said the archers survived. And that was it. The Boar Boys, we'd concluded, weren't strong enough to really come around the flank and do anything. I think we only had turns 5 and 6 to come after this. It was Empire turn 5. Yeah. So we counted up the points and worked out who was the winner. And it was the Empire who got the victory. They got more points in the end. There was no scenario stuff going on for who wins or anything. So it was just a standard victory for the Empire, having got more points. Basically, the Black Orcs were 500 of those. The War Boss was 200 of that. And the Manglers and the Night Goblin, the other part.
Yeah, so it was like 750 in that Black Orc unit.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, possibly more with the general. So, whereas I just got the halberdiers, the 2 characters, and a unit of archers. And that was about it, really. So really, the only points I got were from a Mangler.
Good old Mangler.
Which is crazy. We should say as well, when the Mangler died to the Lector and the Knights in that combat where we were talking about the reform, I forgot to do Timber, which is a special rule where if the Mangler dies, you work out which direction the Mangler falls. And essentially kills more models.
Cool. Don't
think we did that in the Minotaur one either. In the first time we used Manglers. But that's something that we just forgot to do, and I now got programmed into my head to remember.
Well, with your 5 Mangler list.
5 Mangler list is coming up next. I only own 2 Manglers, so there's going to be a bit of proxying involved because I'm probably going to also want to take Night Goblins on.
Are they technically on a square base as well?
Yeah. I'm using the wrong base entirely. Yeah. So there's going to be more proxying to come. But I tell you what, 95 points for Manglers. Mwah. Sorry, Ragnarok, you failed your charge. You're out.
Are they rare? They're rare, aren't they?
They're rare. Yeah.
Well,
You can't. Yeah.
So
you got 500 points.
You can have,
it's literally 5. Yeah. You can't bet anything else. There's no upgrades for them. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to also put your 5 Mangler squig lists in the comments.
Yeah.
So what else goes with 5 Mangler squigs?
Yeah, because I don't think I'm going to take Black Orcs again in court as well.
Okay.
I think I've tried them without great weapons. I've tried them with great weapons, and I know I made some poor decisions in both games. So we're not going to hide away from that. But I think I need to try something a bit different because that ranked up infantry block, it doesn't seem very strong. Like even if you get into line hammer, so it seems like.
Is there any magic that can like? Because I know you're using War because of Orcs, but is there any magic that suits them better? Maybe.
I have had a little bit of a look at it. Not a lot of it is combat buffs, to my knowledge. But then again, the Black Orcs would have fought a lot better with the War Boss, and I think Statrat just played it really well. To be honest, he got himself in a good position and seized my weakness with the challenge, and went from there. But I'll try a different version of the Orcs again as we continue. But, see what I play next. I'm doing a bit of a rotation.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we are going to be rotating quite a lot. So if you like this and liked all the other stuff, like, share, subscribe. Go on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Warhol to test out all your armies and stuff. But yeah, pretty much same old. We'll be here next week.
Thanks for all the
on.
support you guys are giving us, all the comments and stuff. It really helps us to learn. We are eager to hear when we're doing stuff wrong, so that we can make it better for the future, including illegal lists. We all make mistakes. We just have to report on it, so we find out what we're making our mistakes in.
And I think now that we've sort of got to get in there with as many battles as possible and trying to experience it, so that we might bring out some different types of videos as well on like movement and things like that. Very short snippet, tactical things. But let us know what you'd like to see and what would be helpful. We'll do a bit of research and we'll pump out some videos like that, as well as the bat reps. So as we say, do like, share, subscribe, share it, tell everyone to come and watch, and then hopefully we'll have as many different inputs as possible on what other things you'd like to see Warhammer the Old World content wise.
Yeah, bring it on. I'm really enjoying this little foray into the old world, and maybe at some point you'll let me play a Not a Real Army as well.
maybe that's the next thing. Who knows?
Lizard men are waiting patiently, as are ogres. So
yeah. But yeah, so until then, get all the comments in. But otherwise, stay safe, and we will see you next time.